Good afternoon, everyone. Chris here with Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, as well as DFSR.com. It is DFS MLB Happy Hour. We are an hour out from main slate lock. It was originally 12 games. We've had two already. We talked about it earlier in the day. We've got the Mets at Colorado. It's pretty much winter there, so they're not playing tonight. I'm not sure when they're rescheduling that one. And then the Yankee game is also postponed tonight as well with the White Sox. White Sox were in town there. So those two games are postponed. I have updated the sheet a little bit earlier. I will just post that here in chat too. Both New York teams are off tonight. So we got 10 games on this main slate. Pretty nice main slate we got going on. So we're going to talk some pitchers. We're going to talk some team stacks. We're going to talk some individual plays, top values, look at some of these starting lineups. If you guys got any questions on the sheet, make sure to let me know here. If you're new around here and you want to get access to the cheat sheet, that we are looking at here live on the show, you can head over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs. And for $10 a month, you can get access to the cheat sheet, our Discord, all of our coaches, and a lot of members only content, rankings, top plays every day, 7 days a week, some showdown content, a lot of betting content this year as well. Make sure to get over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs. If you want to try us out for free, I've also got a link for a free trial into our Discord. This is where you can have access to all of our coaches. You can chat with all of our other members. I'm just trying to find that while I'm talking here. Here it is here. I'm just going to drop that in the chat, and then we will get started talking some pitchers. All right, so there is the free trial link up in chat. Make sure to check that out and get into our Discord. Reach out to me there. It's Chris, Jagerbombs team leader. Without any further ado, let's jump in. Let's have a look here. So we're going to start with starting pitchers. Right at the top, we've got Eric Lauer, 10-4 on both sites tonight. He's had an excellent start to the season, coming off a not-so-great start in his last start, but 5 before that were absolutely excellent. That's why he's got a 2.60 ERA. The xFIP is even a little bit better than that. He has a 35.5% K rate, which if you're looking at his whole entire career, that maybe looks like it's a little bit out of norm. He's changed his repertoire a little bit. He's throwing less four-seam fastballs, more cutters. He's throwing less changeups as well, getting some curveballs in there and stuff like that. It is working out very well for him. 14% swinging strike rate, second highest on the slate and the highest overall K rate here. So I do like him if you are spending up. Coming down a little bit, I like Robbie Ray. I wrote him up in my notes here. He is my top pitcher points per dollar wise. 8K for Robbie Ray tonight. Going up against Boston. As you can see, this game's a pick 'em right now with a 9 over under. He's been better than his ERA 4.62, 3.84 on the xFIP. So almost a full run better on the xFIP. Recently is what has really stood out. He's got that K rate back. He's had a 33% K rate over his last 4 starts, bringing it up to 25% for the season, which if we looked at those advanced stats, we can see why. He's got a 15% swing and strike rate. So he's just generating a lot of swings and misses. Wasn't getting early on in the season, wasn't getting those swings and misses outside the strike zone. He's now getting those batters chasing. So really like that. Dane, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for joining me. I'm interested in who your top pitchers are tonight. I know I'm going to talk about the next one. I remember him making his major league debut, and you brought him up on the show. I believe it may have been last Friday. It could have been this Tuesday. I really don't remember which day it was. I get so lost in it. But it's Chase Silseth. He's been kind of cruising along. Quite an interesting story that I wrote up. He was drafted in 2021 and an 11th round pick. So it's not like he was a high draft pick. And I really couldn't name another baseball player going back in my memory banks that was drafted, that deep in the draft and played. I believe he made 7 starts at Double-A, and now he's in the majors. And he looked excellent in his first start. He held this same Oakland team to, I believe it was 3 hits, 0 earned runs here. He just looked tremendous, created a lot of ground balls. There wasn't a lot of K upside, but I mean, he's going to find that in the majors. And his price is up now, of course, at $7,800, but I do like that if you want to go there. I think he's going to be a little bit lower on just because Robbie Ray is right there, 200 more with a lot more K potential, a lot higher swing and strike rate. So I think Ray's going to be a little bit more popular. You might get Silseth as maybe a nice GPP option there. Or if you really want to load up on bats tonight, I have no problem going Ray and Silseth together and maybe fading that lore. And I'm fine with that for a couple of reasons. Washington, well, they are a below average team, 85 WRC plus here versus lefties. They strike out less than 17%. That is lowest in the league versus left-handed pitching. They're one of the lowest in the league in overall K rate, so there maybe isn't a lot of upside there. When you're paying for a pitcher that's 10-4, you're really looking for that at least 6 strikeouts, maybe 5 to 6 strikeout floor when you got a 10K pitcher. So if we're not going to be getting that, I think it's totally viable to come down to Silseth and Ray, who both also get plus matchups in the split. Both teams, Boston and Oakland, are under 80, 79. Boston 79 WRC plus versus lefties. Oakland is a 72 WRC plus against righties. They're both around that 23, 24% K rate, which I like. And they've both kind of been Boston. The only risk here with Robbie Ray's Boston has been a lot better over the last week. Even over the last 2 weeks, they got a 124 WRC plus. So that's one thing to watch out for, but they have been more dangerous against righties. So I have no problem with Ray, like I said, and then Silseth, so you can kind of compare them. Outside of that, maybe another GPP option. If we think Lore's maybe going to be a little bit lower owned, yeah, you're with Silseth and Ray. You can it really builds your bats up really nice. You can probably even, I'm going to jump into the bats here in a second and explain exactly what I like about that. But Sean and I could also be in play here. It's not a great matchup versus San Francisco, as you can see here. A little bit above league average against lefties, a little bit more above average for the season, and they've been pretty good over the last week here as well with a 130 WRC plus. He's going to be low owned. He's been good to start the season. He's creating a lot of swing and misses as well. He's going to be probably 5th, 6th, maybe even 7th highest owned pitcher tonight. I would definitely consider him as well. Okay, so moving on to the stacks, the reason why I think a Ray and Silseth can work. There's a few teams that I like here. LA and Toronto would be teams I will have a lot more exposure to if on DraftKings, especially if I am pairing those two value pitchers, because they would both be green here as core teams. It's just their prices. So if we go look at Toronto's lineup here, we've got Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Teoscar. I've got Springer and Guerrero as my top 2 plays. First of all, while Guerrero hasn't been the MVP for him, he does have a 15-game hit streak. He's starting to hit off field, and that's usually a sign that power is going to be coming. The only risk here is that during that 15-game hit streak, he's only got one multi-hit game in there. But 5,500, that's like the lowest we're going to see him probably for the rest of the season, unless there's some sort of freak injury. I don't think, he's going to continue to struggle. I think he's only going to catch fire here as it's starting to get warmer. And I think the home runs and the doubles are going to start coming. He's going to be back up in that 6K range. So I like a buy low on Vladdy here. Springer at 5,100. Bichette, too many strikeouts for me to play him in cash. But if I'm stacking Jays, definitely the top of the order. GPP for Teo, he's just not back yet. That injury really hurt him. And I do like the price, but the price right now for him on DraftKings is higher than it was when he was hitting good before the injury. So the buy low there is kind of gone for me. It's GPP only. What I like about the Jays against Espinal is what I like about targeting against Castillo is lefties, because he really struggles against lefties. And we can go look at that over here. Looking at Toronto, they're facing Castillo. If we slide over here, he has been dominant. It's only been 2 starts, so it's a very small sample size, but he's been dominant against righties. He's had some struggles against lefties here. Toronto's only really got that one lefty in the lineup here. We've got Zimmer at the very bottom of the lineup, but we've got Tapia, who I'll consider as a value play. He's cheap enough if you need to grab that value. And then we go look at the Dodgers here real quick. Again, expensive, very similar, even more expensive than the Jays. I do like Will Smith as catcher at 4K here in that spot, hitting cleanup, probably my top catcher. If you are paying up, and if you are going with the value at the starting pitchers there in those mid ranges, we don't necessarily have to go all the way down and punt catcher. Now, if you were to go all the way down and punt catcher as well, you can really load up on the bats, and you can probably even stack Dodgers and Toronto, which could be a little bit different tonight, just because there are a few other teams that I really like that stood out first, and it's going to be Houston. The model really likes them, and Minnesota. We're going to go talk about those 2 teams, and then Seattle here real quick as well. So let's head over to the Houston lineup. And what I like about them, Martin Perez has been good, but he's got some regression coming. The BABIP is a little bit lower than his career averages. So I think Houston, being one of the top 3 offenses in the league, can definitely get to him. Jose Altuve, the price is going up, but he has been just absolutely insane lately. Michael Brantley, GPP only, lefty-lefty matchup. His price has also started to go up. Bregman isn't a priority for me, but he does fit at third base very well. Sub 5K here, so that makes sense. Gurriel would be my favorite play out of all the Houston Astros points per dollar wise here, hitting fifth. He has better splits against lefties. I believe he's coming in with multi-hit games in 3 of his last 4, something like that. He's been quite hot here lately, so he is going to be like one of my definitely my top points per dollar first baseman. Definitely like getting like in cash games for sure, 2 to 3 pieces of the Houston lineup, and then full stack in there as well. I think they're going to be popular here as well. So then we'll slide over to Minnesota. So if we're going back to those mid-range pitchers like we talked about with Silseth and Ray, that brings Byron Buxton big time in play for me. Minnesota is going up against another pitcher in Daniel Lynch. He's been pretty good at 3.30 ERA. The xFIP is 1.3, 1.4 runs worse. So there's some regression coming for him as well. It starts with that 1.3 whip that he's got. 52% fly balls is a dangerous game you're playing when you're giving up 48% hard contact percentage. That is the thing that really stands out the most to me. So I want some exposure to Minnesota here because of that hard contact. Starts with Byron Buxton. 6K is a lot, but I think we can fit him with that pitcher out that we talked about. Correa is back in the lineup. He's sub 5K, hit in second. Kyle Garlick is a lock in all formats for me at minimum price here. Polanco, 4,600. Gary Sanchez. Minnesota would be my top points per dollar stack if you're looking for 3 players. And if you're paying up for maybe Eric Lahr and one of those value pitchers, then Minnesota would definitely be my top points per dollar team to mix with some expensive pitchers. Now, if you're going with the middle road guys, the mid-tier guys, you can definitely also start mixing in Byron Buxton into that group of Minnesota as well. Other teams that I like, Seattle, going up against Michael Wacha, 1.38 ERA is not sustainable whatsoever. He's almost 3 runs worse on the xFIP here. He's not giving up a lot of fly balls. He never really does. He's kind of a ground ball guy, but he's giving up over 90 mile an hour exit velocity. And Seattle, as another team, if you're paying up for pitching, they easily make it work because guys like Ty France, 3,600, he should not be 30. He should be like mid 4K range for how good he's been. He's hitting 323 on the season, almost a 400 on base percentage, 164 WRC plus, and only striking out 10% of the time here. JP Crawford, 4,100 is a good price in the middle of the order. Julio Rodriguez is now really picking things up, hitting 270 on the season. He's min price too. So no matter which way you want to go tonight, there's a lot of teams that'll fit the expensive pitcher narrative. And there's also teams like I said, Toronto and the Dodgers, who also are very expensive teams who would normally be GPP only for me because of that, who are in play tonight just because of all the punt plays that we have that are hitting near the top of the lineup in good matchups, as well as some nice mid-tier combinations of pitchers that we can go with. So take your pick there. Right now, my core kind of looks like this. I got Lahr and Ray with Maldonado at catcher. Gurriel. Now, this was before I decided to possibly go with Silseth, so I'm actually going to play with that here a little bit. Slide him in there. We can probably get rid of Maldonado, get Will Smith in there. And I think what we can do is probably get... Yeah, we can make bets work. You can fit Bregman in there if you want to stick with, Gurriel and Bregman. Get some Houston, Minnesota, Dodgers, and then we got 3,500 left. So definitely a lot of different ways you can go. I like going both ways. Generally, this is something Doug would probably do is in cash games, split those 2 starting pitchers and those 2 routes. But that's pretty much the way I'm going to be going for tonight. For last look at a couple GPP stacks here. Like I said, I'm pretty much going off of the 5 teams that I've got highlighted. And for cash games, I generally go 2 to 3 players from 3 teams. Sometimes I have a one-off there if it be a punt play, catcher punt, something like that. And then for GPPs, I'm just going to take those exact same teams. I'm just going to add and get up to the max 4 for FanDuel, 5 for DraftKings, or 4 to 5 for DraftKings, and just do full stacks and try and keep the correlation intact with the sequence. All right, well, that takes care of everything. If there's no more questions, we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to go build some lineups, and if you have any more questions, hit me up in chat. Thanks a lot, everyone, and I will see you on the live show Tuesday. Might be back with a golf show Wednesday, and then next Friday again with another baseball show. Articles for next week will be Monday for baseball and Thursday for baseball. Cheers, everyone. Have a good night.